Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Ganganasadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
Hello, welcome. Pay very close attention to these teachings. They are from a work of Adi Shankaracharya, Viveka Chudamani, and it is Advaita Vedanta. So these are the teachings that you find in the scriptures. They are according to the scriptures. So pay very attention to these teachings. Listen very carefully to these teachings. Then you should reflect upon them, reflecting a lot upon these teachings, and then meditate upon these teachings so that they may bear fruit in your heart. So moving on to verse 31st. Among all means of liberation, devotion is supreme. To seek earnestly to know one's real nature, this is said to be devotion. And in this concept, this context, this is what it means, devotion. But prior to this, prior arriving at this state, your chalice of devotion, devotion towards God, towards the divine, has to be filled. Or else this devotion to earnestly seek to know one's real nature can easily become dry and just a fruit of greed. So, first of all, devotion for God, devotion for the divine, devotion for the Guru, this has to be, your cup has to be full. And then you can have this devotion to know one's real nature. And this devotion is steady effort, unflinching effort towards liberation, without dividing this with anything else, devotion. In other words, devotion can be defined as the search for the reality of one's own Atman. The seeker after the reality of the Atman, who possesses the above-mentioned qualifications, go watch again, should approach an enlightened teacher from whom he can learn the way to liberation. By possessing those qualities, he should approach an enlightened teacher, because then he is ready to receive the teachings. Without those qualifications, it's not that it's not worth it, but you will have to develop those qualifications first, either through your contact with the Guru, but don't expect that those teachings give fruit if those qualities are not there. You may be getting the teachings prior to that, but understand they will only give fruit once you finish building up the basis of all of this, and those are the qualifications. A teacher is one who is deeply versed in the scriptures, pure, free from lust, and the perfect knower of Brahman. So it is one who has done the path where you are, crossed through its difficulties and reached the end. Because he is established continually in Brahman, not just as an experience. It is continuous. It has dissolved in his consciousness in Brahman. Calm like the flame when its fuel is consumed, an ocean of the love that knows no ulterior motive, and a friend to all good people who humbly entrust themselves to him. This is very important. He is that ocean of love that knows no ulterior motive. And he is a friend to all good people who humbly entrust themselves to him. There's a lot of things here. First, good people, those who have those qualities previously mentioned. First of all, he is a friend to all good people. It doesn't mean he is a friend to everybody. He is, but the way he will present himself, he can show the exact opposite of that, or he can show something that you get no suspicious of who he really is. It depends a lot. But he is a friend to all good people, those who have those qualities, who humbly entrust themselves to him. Entrust themselves to him. It means they have sought refuge at his feet and his feet alone. They have nowhere else to turn, meaning they have no more interest into the sense objects, sense pleasures, into worldliness. This is what it means. To others, he still gives opportunities, but it may vary in the form that he presents himself. Sorry. Let the seeker approach the master with reverent devotion. Then, when he has pleased him by his humility, love, and service, let him ask for whatever is to be known about the Atman. So if he has the previously mentioned qualifications, he will approach the master with reverent devotion because he knows who is approaching. He knows what's the value of those teachings, the importance of them. He knows who he's talking to, that is the divine himself, and he knows where he stands really, and that is salvation that he is coming across with. So he approaches with reverent devotion. Then, when he has pleased him by his humility, don't mistake this by he came in a nice way and the master was pleased. It's not just that. Humility is something that is beyond that and is tested, especially through time. So during a certain time, the master will expose the disciple to certain situations to see if humility is really there or if it needs to be worked. And it usually happens through service, through the seva, the work that you're being given. This will reveal all the impurities. And to test the quality of your love, making it more pure, until you are ready. And after the master was pleased, meaning after he has seen this is there, this is good, then let him ask him whatever questions about the Atman there are to be asked. And the master will answer them. Before that, the master may not answer, depending on your level, on your stage. But after you have reached this, you can ask whatever you want. O Master, friend of all devotees, I bow down to you, O ocean of boundless compassion. I have fallen into the sea of the world. Save me with those steadfast eyes which shed grace, like nectar never ending. I bow down before you. I am recognizing your divine nature and my condition. So I bow down to salvation, which is what you represent. Ocean of boundless compassion, meaning I have no right, I bear no right in it. Please, by compassion, help me. because I have fallen to the sea of the world. Save me with those steadfast eyes which shed grace, like nectar for him, for the seeker that knows his condition, that truly knows his condition of being drowning in the waters of worldliness. So the words of the Master for him that is ready, they are nectar-like. I'm burning in the blaze of the world forest, which no man can extinguish. Evil deeds out of the past drive me like huge winds, hither and thither. I'm full of fear, I have taken refuge in you. Save me from death, I know no other shelter. This is very important. This reveals the maturity of the seeker, the readiness. He acknowledges his condition, he knows he is burning in the blaze of the world forest that no man can extinguish. He doesn't see it as much fun already, he knows what it is. Evil deeds out of the past drive me like huge winds that he cannot counter and throw it to one side and then to the other. And for that, I'm full of fear because I see no salvation ahead. I have taken refuge in you. What does this mean? Nothing else interests me anymore. So this is being ready for instruction. I have no more desires in the world, no more illusions with the world. I know what it is, and I know how powerful it is. So I seek refuge in you. Nothing else matters to me. Save me from death. Saving me from death is the same as saving me from birth. Because if you're not saved from the death, you will be born again and again and again and again. So saving me from death is saving me from ignorance, which keeps me in bondage. I know no other shelter. I have no interest in anything else. Not parents giving me security, or not a bank account, or not friends, or nothing. Only you. So this is the state of readiness, of maturity of a disciple, the one who is ready for instruction. And this is in a form of a dialogue with a disciple already at the level which is needed. This is not invalidating all others, but it is revealing that first they develop this, even under instruction, if they are not growing, not in a steady pace that they think they should, because these are missing and need to be developed. There are great pure souls who have attained peace and greatness. They bring good to mankind like the coming spring. They themselves have crossed the dreadful ocean of this world without any selfish motive. They help others to cross it. These are the nature of these high souls, of gurus. And they know the path, they have done it from A to Z. And it's not just philosophy, because they have dissolved themselves in the ocean of Brahman. It is the very nature of these great souls to work of their own accord, to cure the troubles of others, just as the moon of its own accord cools the earth when is scorched by the fierce rays of the sun. And sometimes it is easy to be confused by the attitude of a master, because most of the times he may seem not to care about anything. But his teachings are the highest teachings for the one who is mature, and this is the biggest friend that anyone can have. And even when he is not giving attention to what you think he should give attention, that is a teaching in itself. Mimic. And this is what is recognized as work from these great souls is not really work from their perspective, But this we will go through probably in the next chapters. The vessel of your lips has been dipped and filled with the sweetness of the bliss of Brahman. He knows the Master is a knower of truth. So his lips come directly from the source. The words that goes through his mouth come from the source. Pour words from it like drops of nectar upon me. Nectar again for the seeker, from the importance he knows these words have. If he is not taking them as nectar, it will be fruitless, and that's because those qualities are not there. Remember, the majority of it, it's about the qualifications of the seeker. So develop them earnestly. These words are purifying, soothing, and delightful to hear. Yes, for the one who seeks liberation has attained a certain level of purity. For others, it may be like not good. But for this one, they are soothing and delightful to hear. O Master, I am consumed by the scorching heat of this worldly life, as by the flames of a forest fire. Blessed are they on whom your eyes rest even for a moment. It is thus that you accept them and make them their own. Not guaranteeing that those who are accepted do the same. Because only when the seeker seeks refuge at the feet of the Master, only without any second intentions apart from liberation, that it all starts making sense. How should I cross the ocean of this world? What should be my goal? What way should I take? I know none. Be gracious, Master. Be gracious because it is grace. He knows that it is grace. It's not a right. He is not asking questions like many seekers with a sense of right on getting the answer. He knows that he must have merit for it, and it has to be upon grace also, because despite his merit, it will not be enough without grace. Save me. Tell me how to end the miseries of this earthly life. Withhold nothing. Method of instruction. Scorched by the fierce flames of the world forest, the disciple speaks these words. The great soul looks at the disciple who thus seeks refuge in him, and his eyes are wet with tears of mercy. Immediately, he frees his disciple from fear. So, scorched by the fierce flames of the world forest, aware of where he stands, of what is the world, what is bondage, what is slavery, the disciple speaks those words with sincerity. The great soul looks at the disciple who thus seeks refuge in him. If he is seeking refuge in him, if he is sincere, and the answer is not that the Master has been moved in compassion because of the story and all of this. No, it's because it is sincere. Because if those words weren't sincere, no emotion would rise into the eyes of the Master. So this rising of emotion, this means the words were sincere and reached the heart of the Guru. Immediately, he frees his disciple from fear. This disciple, who has sought his protection, is one who thirsts for liberation, who has properly fulfilled his duties, whose heart has become tranquil, and who has attained calmness of mind. The wise and holy man, out of compassion, begins to instruct them in the truth. Watch how many circumstances are gathered here. The disciple who sought his protection is one who thirsts for liberation. It's not a curiosity. His life depends on it. He wants it very much. And he has fulfilled his duties according to his stage of life, being the duty for liberation the highest and the one who overcomes all other duties. When this duty is embraced, not as an escape in the sense of neglecting other duties, but in the sense of transcending them. Who has become tranquil, free from the cravings of sense pleasures, of attachments with the world, and who has attained calmness of mind, self-control, everything we have spoken prior. The wise and holy man, out of compassion because it touched his heart by the sincerity and maturity of it, instructs him in the truth. The Master speaks. O prudent one, do not fear. For you there is no danger. There is a way to cross the ocean of worldly life. I shall reveal to you that very method by which sages have reached the other shore. So prudent one, the one who knows where he stands, where he comes from, all which is in the balance. Do not fear. For you that have reached this stage with that level of aspiration, with all that work you have done developing those qualities, those base qualities, and are still working out on them. For you, there is no danger, because there is a way to cross the ocean of worldly life. But if you hadn't those qualities, if you haven't reached that state, there wouldn't be a path out of it. Understand? I shall reveal to you that very method by which sages, not common people, not worldly people, not curious people, not good people, sages have reached the other shore. Very important. Because it is common by immaturity to think that, okay, I will follow the same path that others are following independently of my qualifications. And everything will solve itself. It makes no difference. Eventually I'll get there without developing those qualities. And it really doesn't work like that. That doesn't mean, by far, that if you don't have those qualities, then give up. No, it means continue, but develop these qualities because they are the base. There is a certain potent method of putting an end to the horror of this worldly life. By it you may cross the world ocean and reach the highest bliss. Meditation on the meaning of the truth as it is taught in Vedanta leads to the highest illumination. By this means, the misery of worldly life is altogether destroyed. So this meditation on the meaning, it's not on the teaching itself, but the meaning of the teaching. And this needs a lot of concentration and contemplation. So for meditation on the meaning, on the essence of it to be possible, to be concrete, a lot of meditation in other kinds have been used to develop those qualities we are talking about. Without that meditation, those qualities, it's almost impossible to develop them. Meditation in an intense degree. And that is only possible for those who thirst in an intense degree for liberation, of course. Faith, devotion, and constant communion with God through prayer. So the faith that we talk about, believing in the goal, believing in the scriptures, believing in the Master without any doubts, constant devotion and constant communion with God through prayer. That means uninterrupted communion with God. Not as a concept, but as a living experience. These are declared by the sacred scriptures to be the seeker's direct means of liberation. To him who abides by them comes liberation from that bondage of physical consciousness, which has been forged by ignorance. So it's not possible to abide exclusively on faith, devotion, and constant communion with God, and the maintenance of the quest for sense pleasures, the maintenance of attachments, fears, and the like. You cannot be in constant, unshaken community with God and free from doubts, full of faith and devotion. And that liberation, of course, which has been forged by ignorance alone, ignorance of your real nature. Because you are associated with ignorance, the Supreme Atman within you appears to be in bondage to the non-Atman. Because you are associated with ignorance, you are associated, you, identity, is associated with ignorance, that which is born by mistaken identity, from the ego downwards to the context where the body-mind complex operates. So associated with ignorance, with all these surroundings, through ignorance, through that mistaken identity. So the Supreme Atman within you appears to be in bondage to the non-Atman, body, mind, and the rest, and the like. This is the sole cause of the cycle of births and deaths. The flame of illumination which is kindled by the discrimination between Atman, I, real I, and not Atman, that which appears to be, will burn away the effects of ignorance down to their very roots, the ego. And disciples' questions. The disciple speaks. Master, please listen to the question I'm about to ask. I shall feel blessed if I may hear an answer from your lips. Meaning, I know I'm not worthy of the answer. I know that I haven't reached the level to be able to receive the answer. I know that only through grace I can receive that blessing, that answer. And if you give me that answer, I know I'm being blessed. And when you know you're being blessed and you don't see it as a right, it will bear fruit because your heart is in the right place, has reached the purity that is needed for this. What in reality is this bondage? How did it begin? In what is it rooted? How is a man set free from it? What is the non-Atman? What is the Supreme Atman? How can one discriminate between them? Please answer me. The Master speaks. You are blessed indeed. You are drawing near to the goal. Through you, your whole family has been purified because you long to get free from the bondage of ignorance and reach Atman. So you are blessed indeed, because only through blessing you can be asking those questions. Those very questions that go through the root and question the heart of illusion. And this is that which announces liberation. Through you, your whole family has become purified. So a seeker of truth not only purifies himself by his quest, but also all his family, all his, ancestors also. Children may free from may free their father from his debts, but no other person can free a man from his bondage. He must do it himself. So there's no point in waiting that someone will do this for you. Embrace the guidance and make it happen. Others may relieve the suffering caused by a burden that weighs upon your head, but the suffering which comes from hunger and the like can only be relieved by oneself. This you have to take care. The sick man who takes medicine and follows the rules of diet is seen to be restored to health, but not through the efforts of another. So if it has been prescribed, but he is not following it, he will not get the improvements. But if he follows it, those improvements will be seen. A clear vision of the reality may be obtained only through your own eyes, when they have been opened by spiritual insight, never through the eyes of some other seer. Through your own eyes, we learn that the moon looks like. How could we learn this through the eyes of the others? So, reading through others' visions and what happened with them, this doesn't bring liberation. You have to contemplate it on it and experience it by yourself. And opened by spiritual insight. So this contemplation, continuous contemplation, continues until revelation, because it is a revelation, nothing else. These cords that bind us because of our ignorance, our lustful desires, and the fruits of our karma, how could anybody but ourselves untie them, even in the course of innumerable ages? And even in these innumerable ages, untying knots, you are creating new ones. So this doesn't really solve them. So you have to go to the root. Only the realization of Brahman ends it all. Neither by the practice of yoga or Sankhya philosophy, nor by good works, nor by learning does liberation come, but only through the realization that Atman and Brahman are one in no other way. So these previous are means that help you create those qualities and point to that which is beyond the nature of these means, of these teachings, of these actions, of these philosophies. So they point there, but they are not there. But only getting there is liberation, not the rest. So these things help, but it is that final that is important. And why is this important? So that you don't transform spirituality into a lifestyle only. Like doing those practices is the end and not a means to. This is one of the important. Okay.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.